Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the idea of lost love and asking the question, will you ever see this person again? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Rose Quartz. Group 2 is the Orange Calcite. And group 3 is the Blue Opal. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Rose Quartz. So let's see, for your lost love, will you ever see this person again? Okay, so the first three cards we have are Taking Shelter, the answers are within. Answering the Call, the time is now. And Fogged In, go slow, take time. So it feels like this lost love has been sort of adrift within themselves, emotionally speaking. They may have been on quite a journey themselves since you last were in contact or since you parted ways with one another. With this idea of the lantern here, like the hermit's lantern, it feels that this person is older, wiser, has maybe had some humbling experiences that have changed their priorities and their perspectives, the way that they are living their life, goals, things that they've been focusing on or surrounding themselves with, that has helped them, it feels like, to take positive steps forward in their life in other ways, that may be something which has opened the door of opportunity for them to reach out, like literally call you or text you or email you to try and make amends, smooth out any kind of miscommunication or lack of clarity that you had been left with in the past. If this was somebody that just like ghosted you and you were left to wonder what happened, what changed, did I do something wrong? There's a sense that this person may have gone through a pattern of like habitually doing that to different sorts of people, and it came back around to haunt them in some sort of way. There may have been like a critical juncture in their life when they needed help, they needed assistance, and nobody was there to answer their call. They may have had to go through some things in their life and sort of learn the hard way that it feels like has changed this person substantially from the version of them that you remember or that you were dealing with. And so this is almost the essence here of, it would be not out of the realm of possibility for this person to take not just steps to you, not just return with their tail between their legs and kind of beg forgiveness, but bring forth almost like a version of themselves where you'd be meeting them again for the first time. Again, a lot may have changed within sort of their material circumstances. Physically, this person could be a lot different. Maybe they started to prioritize their health and well-being. They could have had some kind of like a health scare that caused them to sort of reevaluate their priorities in general, how it is that they were living their life, maybe even things that they were doing professionally or socially that had caused a lot of stress, or had just not really been good for them, to where this almost feels like somebody that would come in a very sort of renewed energy with more to offer than had been the case in the past, because they'd cultivated more within themselves as a person than like what they were working with on their best day previously. And the other three cards that we have are the Merciful One, compassion, release, and relief. Queen of the Darkwood Elves, premonition, foreshadowing, mystery. And the Hedge Witch, herb wisdom, secrets, and hidden lore. So these energies speak to somebody who has been maybe secretly observing you, watching you, contemplating or strategizing, making their way back in, kind of lurking around in the shadows, trying to be very unnoticed. And it might even be where it's been hard at times to decipher or pick up on their energy because it is so transformed, so evolved from what you had previously been dealing with. This almost gives the idea of someone who may have gone through like a dark night of the soul, maybe coming out of a dark night of the soul currently. So they're kind of in a liminal space between maybe more a distorted version of themselves and a healed or divine version of themselves, to where they may be getting ready to approach you in the relatively speaking near future to kind of like ask for mercy, beg for forgiveness. It feels like the energy that this person is in, though, it may be sort of quiet and wise. So again, it wouldn't necessarily be like an overly dramatic sort of show of apology, but something where it's almost kind of like bearing their heart and soul to you in a way that it's like everything that they had withheld or that hadn't been developed in them before, it's sort of begging for you or beseeching for you to sort of see them for who they are now in this more evolved version of self that might provide you with more context of their motivations in the past, wounding that had been unaddressed that had sort of interfered with your connection previously, maybe even things that they tell you that sort of divulge the nature, the hard times that they've gone through, times where there hasn't been anyone that they have had to lean upon. This could be somebody who has gone through a spiritual awakening, is aligned with a spiritual path. Maybe they've found religion, maybe they have found some sort of like teaching or practice that has dramatically shifted the way that they're living their life in general. If there had been a lot of chaos with this person, a lot of in and out energy, or it had been a very impassioned connection that just dropped off all of a sudden, it feels like they almost would need to reintroduce themselves to you as someone who has achieved a degree of self-mastery or has actively put some sort of system in place in their life to create that balance. This is someone who has come face to face, it feels like, with their own shadows. They've been forced to, or they've chosen to, as kind of, maybe something sort of like something had to give. They couldn't keep living their life the way that they were living. They couldn't keep treating people the way that they'd been treating people, or things just kind of caught up with them that required sort of a balancing or a reckoning of sorts. And it feels like whatever they've had to go through, they've come out the other side more self-aware, better equipped with different sorts of life skills, or a more certain idea of a different path forward towards living a well-rounded life, making a positive contribution in the lives of people around them, or even the world in general, than was the case before. This person may have been very self-serving, or almost kind of seeking a lot of immediate gratification when you were last dealing with them, kind of easily distracted, unable to kind of follow through on commitments. And it feels like something where all of that has kind of shifted and changed for them as a person in general. So there's an essence of someone who's equipped to take personal responsibility, where in the past it might have been someone that was prone to kind of not take constructive criticism, or was in denial about a lot of things, projected out that wounding to others. But they've come to a place, it feels like, within their life where they're able to really accept their role in their own suffering, and maybe suffering that they've inflicted upon other people. So this can even be somebody that is like, maybe they've gotten clean and sober. They're working like a 12-step program, for example. Part of that whole philosophy might be making amends to people that they have hurt or harmed in the past. You may be part of that list of amends, where they are kind of gearing up to present something that would either provide peace or peace of mind to you, or would initiate like a new cycle between the two of you, if that's in alignment with sort of whatever else you have going on in your life. So it feels like kind of someone who has been taking the long route back around to coming into your presence, not to repeat what has been sort of the nature of your dealings with one another in the past or what you had experienced from them previously, but this is almost somebody that has taken control of their life and chosen to kind of navigate in an entirely different direction. So it feels quite likely that you may hear from this person. It wouldn't just be like chance meeting. They very intentionally would seek you out, or actively kind of seeking you out, or they've found you in some sort of way. They have you in their sights and maybe sort of bringing themselves to that place of readiness to have some difficult conversations, reveal some difficult things that have happened for them personally that have sort of changed their perspective, to be able to present you both with maybe the closure and the apology that you may have needed before, perhaps even a confession of things that they had just sort of, kept inside, this idea of secrets and, feelings that they never confessed, or fears that they had that could have been discussed openly, but instead they just cut and ran out of the situation. This may be something where now they're ready to kind of broach that. This can be the energy of someone who considers you to be the one that got away, or something where they're now in a place, it feels like, within themselves that they're able to offer something more because they've taken the time to give something more to themselves or cultivate something more within themselves than was the case when you were last dealing with them, and then they fell into that category of lost love. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what this person wants you to know. Okay, and they say, I've realized so much since we parted ways. So that's that confirmation of someone who has gone through a personal transformation, a personal evolution, someone that might have been in denial about their feelings for you, that has come to the understanding that this was not just a fleeting connection, or that it was of a disservice to both them and you to not pursue these feelings, not fight through any fears in the interest of preserving the relationship, or maybe this was like right person, wrong time, or kind of like a failure to launch situation. So it feels like somebody who's gearing themselves up. They're very much focused and poised to try and respark this connection, or try and provide you with some kind of answers, some kind of peace of mind, something that expresses not only kind of remorse as a result of reflecting on the past, but a readiness and a willingness and ability to start again, or to give this a chance for the first time if it was something that never properly blossomed between the two of you previously. And they also say, I fell in love with you the moment we connected. So this person might have caught feelings for you very quickly, very intense feelings, very deep feelings that could have triggered some old wounds, abandonment wounds, and almost the sense of like, I'll leave you before you have the chance to leave me. And it feels like they ran from you. They ran from a lot of situations in their life, and they ran right into their own reflection, a need to kind of self-reflect, or some tough lessons that cause them to sort of have to reevaluate kind of what they were choosing to keep in their life, hold close to them, versus sort of like push away, opportunities for happiness that this person may have habitually, not just in the situation with you, but in other aspects and areas, chosen to like not take leaps of faith, or opportunities that were presented, and they chose the safe route, the easy route, the path of least resistance, which it feels like has led to sort of a lukewarm life for this person overall, or might have even been something that they were involved in a lot of toxicity that took its toll. It caught up with them in some sort of way and required them to make different sorts of choices. They also say, I want to reach out to you. So there's that confirmation of somebody that wants to communicate. They want to speak to you. They want to clear the air, provide you with some kind of context, introduce you to this version of themselves, help you to sort of shed or evolve beyond your perceptions of who they were, because it feels like, again, this is somebody who, not even just that time and distance has changed them, and it feels like changed them for the better, like whatever version of themselves they've cultivated or they've been forced to step into, it's a vast improvement over who you were dealing with before. And this feels like something where they really want to share that with you, kind of things you didn't know about them, things that were happening under kind of the cover of darkness within the subconscious, or sort of their motivations for their actions in the past, that they have actively sort of pinpointed these things within themselves as a recipe for disaster. And it feels like somebody who has actively tried, has been trying, and has been quite successful in creating a different sort of structure for themselves, healthier coping mechanisms, different surroundings, maybe not even hanging out with any of the same people that they were before. They've kind of cleaned up their life in some sort of way, or they become very serious, very focused on priorities, and maybe even trying to be that sort of living amends, apology in the form of changed action. So this is somebody that is reflecting on your experiences with one another in the past, and there is remorse for whatever wasn't said or whatever was said, and there's a desire, it feels like, for a different line of communication to begin between the two of you. And they also say, I wish I could hold you in my arms and tell you how much you mean to me. So this could be somebody that always held their feelings back, never quite revealed what it is that they were feeling for you, or had given little hints or innuendos, and then left you sort of wondering what happened, what had you done, was this all just in your head, were you imagining the connection and the situation or the potential between the two of you? So it feels like somebody who wants to come in and set the record straight, not just to provide closure, although it feels like they're at a level of maturity within themselves that if you choose not to entertain the possibility of starting fresh, or beginning from like the place where this person has evolved into and where they're observing or just assuming you have evolved into in your time apart from one another, there's a sense that they don't just want to kind of tie up the loose end, but it's almost kind of like close out that cycle or that experience, or release the versions of yourselves that you both were in the past, and kind of start from this place. Like, this is who I've become. This is who I am now. I want to get to know this version of you, who you've become. Because we were well matched at one point in time, and then whatever happened where things faded away or fell apart, but there's a sense that they feel that you might even be better equipped to be very complementary for one another at this point in your lives or in your personal journey. So I'm going to get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got S, L, F, W, V, I, X, U, A, T, Z, Y, K, Q, O, L, C, E, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the orange calcite. So let's see, your lost love. Will you ever see this person again? So the first three cards we have are staying focused, hold the course, grace and gratitude. Through gratitude, joy expands. And navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. So it feels like something where a chapter has closed out between the two of you. A cycle has closed out, more than just this is a lost love and you're not speaking with one another, you've lost track of one another, or maybe it's like a long-term no contact situation. There's almost a sense that you yourself have evolved beyond the version of you that had been deeply connected with or resonated with this individual in the past, to where they might almost be unrecognizable if you were to see them again today. Your frequencies are no longer in a place of alignment because this person might have almost chosen to remain kind of stuck or trapped within sort of limiting cycles within their life. They've not been doing the work. They've not been choosing to sort of recognize patterns within themselves or within their behavior that needed to be sort of broken or reimagined in some sort of way, versus you have been sort of setting your sights on, I have to learn to deal with this heartbreak. I have to create peace for myself. Maybe you've sought to create closure rather than continuing to sort of wait around for this person to resurface in your life. And there's almost a sense of you don't understand just how profoundly you have outgrown this situation. Like if you were to see this person today, even if you're able to like look at them on social media, if you were to encounter them directly, physically, face to face, it's almost the sense of you would be able to let this situation go with grace. It's almost like that magnetic connection you once felt to this individual, it wouldn't be there. Not because it never existed or it never was real. It almost feels to be something that a window of opportunity for this person to evolve, to at least do that work within themselves, it's closed. It's come and gone. The moment has passed. There's almost a sense here of sort of like, even if you tried to move forward, a part of you may have been like holding space for this individual, and chances were given by the universe, not just even in terms of like to resurrect the situation or to make things right in the circumstance, but it almost feels like for themselves and their own level of kind of the evolution of consciousness, the evolution of soul within this lifetime, they've exercised free will by choosing to remain stuck. And so your journey with one another, essentially in the manner in which it once manifested, it's come to a completion. Like the soul contract between the two of you is run out. If this is somebody that you would consider to be a twin flame, for example, and there's the idea of like, well, our souls are bonded with one another, or we're this emanation of the same spark. That may be the case in like the higher realms, but here on the 3D material plane, there's almost a sense of sort of like, love is within your birthright, but this person didn't get with the program. And rather than sort of continuing to suffer in the energy of waiting, there's almost a sense of you've invested within yourself. You got the message. You've completed the cycles. You've actually done the work. And this person is like miles behind you. And it feels like for a lot of people, they're still just focused on like that round and round sort of energy. They've taken no actual steps, no concrete steps in a positive direction, to where it's almost like it's not possible for the two of you maybe to reconnect. Like you may not see this person again in this lifetime physically because you're existing on an entirely different timeline than they are. They have work that they need to do within themselves to address patterns, certain things that need to be balanced, energies that they've put out and versus kind of what they've taken or refused to take. That it's almost the sense of the hard way is kind of now what is having to unfold for this individual, where it may even be kind of the sense of they could catch a glimpse of you, become aware of you in some way, but they're kind of like trapped on the outskirts of your life. they're like an audience member now. They're a spectator. They've missed that opportunity to be able to, it feels like, reconnect and become a relevant part of sort of your future. You've up-leveled, they've remained very stagnant, to where it feels to be something that it's almost, if this is like a twin flame situation, it's almost like, well, maybe in the next lifetime, there'll be the opportunity to sort of try again or start again, start the cycle over if that's something that you both choose to do. But there's a sense that with you, this is almost kind of something that the lesson has been learned, or there's nothing more to experience with this person and with this situation. And of course, it's always, never say never. People can go through like quantum level changes. They can make dramatic improvements in a short amount of time. But in the here and now, it's almost like this person is still just deliberately kind of keeping their eyes shut, not just to the nature of the connection, but other essential things that they've needed to kind of work on or learn in their life. And they may be getting ready to be sort of propelled into a dark night of the soul. Tower moments may be getting ready to happen for this person, a reckoning for this person in some sort of way that it's almost like it doesn't serve you to have your life on hold for this individual, or to almost anticipate that they'll catch up anytime soon. This almost feels like the type of energy that maybe like years or decades down the road, you may have like a chance encounter with this person, but you already would have lived two totally different lives by that point, that it's kind of like, it might almost be somebody that you pass on the street and it takes a moment to do like a double take to realize who it was that you just walked by. Like you'd be that out of touch with the reality of one another, sort of what they've become based on sort of their choices or choices that they refuse to make, versus sort of what you became out of the choices that you've made and what you've become kind of in your life and what you're working towards. We also have the Elf Queen, introverted, burden, responsibility. She who laughs, humor, perspective, mirth. And Soulkin, recognition, family, kinship. So these energies definitely speak of karmic cycles, and to continue perhaps to hold on hope for the return of this person or the resurrection of this connection in this lifetime or anytime soon. You've already cleared those patterns within yourself. You've already evolved beyond kind of the need to go through this cycle with this person. They've not done the work, so it would only be a round and round sort of energy. It's like you'd be back on the same kind of roller coaster with this person of like highs and lows and uncertainty, things that may feel very kind of compelling or intense, but at the end of the day, it's just the same loop. It's just the same experience. You've stepped beyond that. You've sort of departed that cycle. Even if this is something that this person left you in the dust, they left you high and dry, they walked out of your life, they are still repeating that same kind of errant behavior that had caused wounding and heartbreak to you. This person may have acquired a substantial karmic debt by almost kind of perhaps playing with people emotionally speaking, or expressing kind of emotional intention towards people with no ability to follow through. This could be somebody that is very just sort of scattered or just very toxic in general in their life. And it's almost the idea of you may be the one that gets the last laugh, because you're getting ready to step into a very beautiful life for yourself, where the love which finds you, it helps to alleviate a sense of burden of like what went wrong, or anything where you've been kind of like holding on to this person's energy, or you've been feeling that, or you've been very just kind of stuck on how the circumstance ended, or the idea of like, are they ever going to return? Are they ever going to make it right? Is there any way forward through this? Or even the idea of like, if you consider this person a twin flame and you've been very stuck on this idea of 3D material union, and maybe this is something that has kept you within its grip for like years and years and years. This is something where you're at a place within yourself where you're ready to let that go. You're ready to acknowledge that there was that potential once for that 3D material union, but love is a guaranteed part of your birthright in this incarnation. And just because that was something that was slotted to occur with this person, or had the potential to, this is also a free will zone on Earth. So there's like a breach of contract on their part. They didn't fulfill their end of the bargain. But that doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice the level of joy and the experience of like a high vibrational and reciprocal love with someone who can match what you're pouring in. Somebody who can see your value and worth, or has done the work within themselves that you'd be treated in an entirely different way than the experience with this person turned out to be. So for some of you, this may even be you're getting ready to meet sort of that replacement for this individual, the high level soulmate, somebody that kind of matches what you've cultivated within yourself through your process of healing, even a level of kind of like the loyalty and dedication you may have expressed, holding on to the idea of maybe someday this person will come back, to perhaps start to shift that from an energy of like, well, I was attached or I was desperate. No, that was something very loyal. What you felt was real, and you were loyal to that feeling. But the other person couldn't match that. They couldn't meet you at that level of loyalty. So it's almost kind of that beautiful quality of dedication, the capacity for that within yourself. You're now at a place of readiness to step into a different kind of karmic cycle, of like reaping the rewards of really good karma. Having that quality, that loyalty, that dedication be matched in return by something where you're not just holding on to a fragment or a memory, or, kind of waiting for the return of someone, but it's someone who's going to match your loyalty with loyalty on their end as well. So for those of you that are kind of like resonating with these energies, or this vibe right here, it feels that you really, and you may know this for yourself, that this may just be kind of like the final confirmation, the final closure of that cycle of like, yeah, this is ended. Our time together has concluded. And so maybe this is what you need to kind of just not aggressively release that, but just sort of just let it go and direct your sights towards the love that is that reflection of the version of you that you've been forced to become, or that you've chosen to become in the aftermath of whatever had put you in this lost love at a distance from one another. Because these energies speak to, they haven't evolved the same way that you have. They haven't worked on the things that were kind of part of the core curriculum of the lessons between the two of you, but you've worked on that. You've worked on your end of that equation. And so this is almost sort of like the universe is now telling you, or you're ready to have that experience of that higher divine love with a person who isn't going to give you the runaround, isn't just going to be another lesson, isn't going to trigger this cycle of hurt and healing that may have been crucial to your evolution and development with this individual, this lost love, this person from your past. So let's get some message cards though from this person's higher self and see what they want you to know right now. And they say, I struggled to show you how much I truly care. So definitely could have been somebody who had an avoidant attachment style that you were dealing with. All the feelings were there, the intensity, they experienced the bond, you know, maybe even like spiritual awakening kind of energy, but instead of leaning into that process, they fought tooth and nail. They've chosen the path of fear. They've kept that locked up within themselves. They have been unwilling to address those shadows, unwilling to address those wounds, unwilling to even maybe take ownership for a tendency to sort of call in blessings or opportunity and then run the opposite way. So they could have some self-worth issues that are needing to be worked on, it's almost like they had kind of like a voluntary ability to deal with that through this situation with you, and what that had triggered. But it may be something now where other choices in their life that kind of reflect that sort of low self-esteem or low standards, or just choosing things for themselves that were sort of easy and convenient. There may be repercussions to that. You know, people they've surrounded themselves with that can't fully support them on an emotional level, or you know, the masks falling off of circumstances and other people in their life, and seeing these individuals as kind of only there to serve their own needs, not really caring about this individual as a person or who they are, or their true well-being. So it feels like there's a different sort of like a karmic balancing or a reckoning that is needing to take place with this person, because they still need to address those lessons, and they haven't chosen to sort of take this opportunity of whatever's come to the surface through the dynamic for the two of you to deal with that. And so the universe now kind of has other plans for them, other ways to sort of present that in maybe more of a harsh or extreme sort of fashion, so that through the rest of this lifetime, they're kind of completing what they set out to do, in a different sort of way than was the opportunity that was first afforded to them through things that had kind of been stimulated within the subconscious or within the shadow through their dealings with you. We also have only you can see through me. So it feels like even the idea of you is still very triggering to this individual. It feels like you may still kind of feel a little bit of their energy as they're kind of drawn towards you, and then they recoil from that. Might have been a lot of back and forth, almost like a game of cat and mouse with this person previously, where they really might have done a number on you as far as mind games or playing with your heart, not really knowing what to expect, kind of promises that were made and not delivering on those, or you know, kind of a lot of sort of on again, off again energies. And it feels to be something that there's a part of them at the core level, at the soul level, that is deeply compelled to you, that recognizes this sort of common frequency within the two of you, but the work that they've actually done in a tangible, literal, material sense to kind of like address their own wounding, address their own patterns, that's not there. They haven't put in that work. They've chosen to continue to run or numb things out, or live in an energy of denial, versus it feels like you that have actually invested in self-improvement, in healing, in raising your vibration, cultivating an abundance mentality. And so it's put you on a different tier or a different level from this person. So although there's still this kind of compulsion, or what you may feel as sort of like tethered to them energetically speaking, it feels like you've already just sort of, you've stepped beyond that in such a way that this is just an echo. It's almost the idea of like when you encounter that sort of high level soulmate, or that divine love that is ready or is quickly becoming ready to align with you, it then shuts off this sort of perception of this other person. You won't be able to feel them. You won't be able to sense that. It won't be such a nagging feeling within of kind of like, why can't I let this person go? Why do I still think about them? When that other energy, that true reciprocity comes in for you, it's almost like it shuts this off with this other individual. And then that might even sort of catalyze them into the process of, okay, they are no longer able to attach so easily to the energy of thought within you, and then that starts them on the process of their own own journey to kind of look at this wounding, look at these aspects within self from a different angle, less of a forgiving or a nurturing or kind of a gentle angle. It may be more extreme at this point in time, so that it's almost kind of forced evolution or a need to really look at these things. And they also say, I can feel your presence even though we are apart. So definitely they're still feeling the connection. They may be inundated with like signs and synchronicities, reminders of you. There may have been a window of opportunity for them to turn the situation around that has come and gone relatively recently. They missed the boat, they missed the opportunity. And so there may have been kind of a lot that was sort of signaling, hey, this person may potentially return recently for you, and then they never showed up. Or it was just kind of the energetic pull, the back and forth, the hot and cold once again. So it feels like that's mutually experienced on this person's side, but they have reached a place or kind of divine intervention has now happened, energetically speaking, where that time has come and gone, that time is done. There's not the opportunity now. Your roads have officially diverged from one another. The fork in the road, they chose to remain in sort of the loop. You, through your actions leading up to this point, have chosen a different sort of path, the higher ground for yourself, which sort of yields a higher caliber of relationships going forward. So it feels like as time goes on, you may sense less of that pull with this person, as well as they kind of get swept into the process of needing to create balance for themselves now in other ways. And they also say, my emotions for you are still there. So there's a lot that they haven't worked on, that they haven't processed, that this may be sort of part of their lesson, is to learn too little too late what the value of this connection was, what you meant to them, how they treated you, how they left things in the situation. They could be getting ready to encounter someone, or maybe someone in their life right now is getting ready to kind of give them a taste of their own medicine, something that was done to you, maybe getting ready to happen to them. And that could be sort of the lesson in this situation, that then they are sort of left with the responsibility of kind of cleaning up the wreckage of their own heartbreak, which it feels like will bring their attention to sort of what they put you through, what they made you endure, maybe other people as well, kind of a trail of heartbreak that they have left in their wake. But it feels like something that by the time, if this person is able to sort of rise beyond that, you will already be very much situated in a different kind of life with a different sort of person, and that there's really no coming back for this individual at this particular point in time. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got H, W, Y, M, R, D, F, L, Q, L, D, I, K, C, and I. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the blue opal. So let's see, your lost love. Will you ever see this person again? Okay, the first 3 cards we have are Passion and Pleasure, Savor Your Life. Infinite Abundance, Abundance is pouring into your life. And vast vistas, expand your horizons. So this almost speaks to the energy of like chance meetings, things that may happen in like a social context or a social gathering, or somebody that may even reach out to you via social media. If this is somebody that like your life paths have just taken you in different directions, if there was no ill will between the two of you, you just sort of life and circumstances kind of got in the way, or somebody that there might have been a lot of untapped potential between the two of you, like right person, wrong time sort of energy. There's almost a sense of fortune kind of favoring the idea of a start in this situation. Not even so much a fresh start, but almost kind of a different sort of beginning between the two of you that might help you to understand and have some kind of appreciation for why the timing was off in the situation before. Almost like the two of you needed to go through different sort of experiences or life lessons in order to grow into very particular versions of yourselves, to where it's almost like you got a glimpse or a preview of one another once upon a time, but that wasn't the occasion. That wasn't sort of like the destined or fated or the most opportune time for you to create a life with one another or experience the blossoming of romance that would have been deeply fulfilling. It's almost a sense of, even if this is something where there was a connection between the two of you and things sort of fell apart, there may have been disappointment or heartbreak or misunderstandings or hurt feelings even on one or both ends. There's almost a sense of time or different experiences has sort of smoothed out some rough edges between the two of you, to where, again, the idea of like a chance meeting or somebody maybe that seeks you out online, or the algorithm recommends you, or it's just kind of through happenstance almost, or serendipity, some kind of happy coincidence that you come into this awareness with one another. It's almost the sense of any kind of hurt feeling or upset or feathers that had been ruffled in the past, that all sort of goes away. The very immediately almost, not that there wouldn't be like a need to sort of clear the air or discuss things or, apologize and kind of make amends, but there's almost the sense of something more that is possible to be experienced in this situation that could only be achieved through like elevated versions of yourselves, to where you may have even sort of shed or outgrown the versions of yourselves that previously had kind of done the wounding or had been wounded, where it may be very almost kind of unexpected or surprising just how easy it is to reconnect, or obstacles that seem to be in the way, maybe even third parties that were in the way previously. Those have all been shed. Those have all been sort of alleviated, to where it's almost like the door or an opportunity is open, or perhaps will open. And the idea of like not too distant future, like those ships sort of, coming in the relatively speaking near future, to truly give this connection its proper chance to blossom and thrive. Not just have it be something where it's momentarily satisfying, or it was, reflective of kind of the epitome of what two wounded people were capable of achieving or experiencing with one another, but the sense of almost like needing to go one's separate ways in order to grow and expand and heal and evolve. And then the love story, which never quite happened or didn't happen the way that you had both thought that it should be, it's because the time was sort of later down the road. So this could be love later in life, or this may be somebody that you've been disconnected from for quite some time, kind of like a blast from the past sort of energy. That it may be very shocking or surprising when you run into this person, or this person reaches out to you. It may be somebody where you assumed you'd never hear from them again, you'd never see them. Maybe your contact information has changed, maybe their contact information has changed, but by almost kind of some stroke of luck, or again, like serendipity, some kind of series of happy coincidences, there's almost a sense of like divine intervention at play, where at the right moment, there'll be this opportunity to connect once again. There'll be an opportunity to almost see what could we really become with one another? There might have been something that we could have been back in the day, or when we were previously dealing with one another, or had like direct access to each other, but it's the evolved version, it's the matured version, it's the world weary version, it's the version that has gone through things and has survived, or has stepped out and evolved beyond survival mode into a place of thriving. Two people that are actively kind of living their best life, or seeking to kind of continue to sort of evolve or expand, or sort of shift into that better version of themselves in any given situation across, multiple different circumstances within their reality. It's that flexibility, it's that dexterity that may have been the secret ingredient that was sort of lacking in this situation, that each of you needed to sort of cultivate on your own in order to be able to enjoy more of the fullness or the richness of how that could be enjoyed together. We also have before the gathering, celebration, anticipation, event. The fairy Norn, planning, patience, and cooperation. And the solitary, dedication, self-love, and focus. So definitely both of you could have needed to go on some kind of like self-love journey, some kind of healing journey, experiences that you needed to have privately, individually, that couldn't take place with one another. It's almost like you couldn't germinate into particular versions of yourselves if you had done so hand in hand. There was a necessity to not know what was going on with the other person, to not be involved in the other person's life. But again, this idea of like celebrations and gathering and co-creation, it feels very likely that you will hear from this person again. You will run into this person again. Through the grapevine, you'll get news of this person. You may feel inspired to reach out, or vice versa. They may hear things about you and it inspires them to take action, to open up the lines of communication, or to express some things that had been kind of left in an unsettled place, or things that they had never had the opportunity to express before. If this was like, a crush situation, other romantic circumstances, or just other life circumstances in general that was sort of an obstacle in the past, it feels like if those are still in the process of clearing out, on the other side of that, there's this open sort of pathway towards one another, not even back towards one another, but along your sort of individual journeys. It's almost inevitable that you'll cross paths, or that there'll be that sort of spark of inspiration, that nudge, that sense within that, rather than leaving it in a place of wondering, to take that decisive action to determine if this was the right person at the wrong time, and the times have changed. Maybe we're right for one another now. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the opportunity. Maybe this is what it was all sort of leading to. If the third party situations or other circumstances that might have been a factor in the past, if those are sort of out of the situation, healing has taken place, energies have been cleared, life has kind of developed beyond those circumstances, or the versions of yourselves that you've kind of metamorphosized into in the aftermath of certain experiences, lessons, karmic contracts you've needed to work through, just different things that were kind of part of your individual journeys within this sort of lifetime. It almost feels like you'll have that opportunity to reap the rewards, or experience the sweetness of the fullness of what this circumstance can be, rather than it being like a third party situation. It's almost the sense that it was always meant to be exclusive, perhaps, between you and this person. Maybe even fear had been sort of that third party factor rather than another flesh and blood person. And it's a sense of like you each needed to face your fears in different ways, come to understand things about yourselves, work through kind of certain instances or experiences in your life that were the result or the reflection of fear-based beliefs, tendencies, practices, to shed those things, to step into a different sort of reality, which then kind of functions as the key that sort of opens up the ability to connect again with one another in this revitalized form, in this empowered form, because it feels like this is something where there's the ability to have a very empowered connection with one another. This idea of like the Norns and kind of like a fated connection, the idea of cooperative energy, sort of like the makings of a power couple, that people needed to come into a place of personal empowerment first and foremost, that sort of self-love journey where you discover you are the love of your own life, and each of you may be needing to have done that, not just in theory but in practice as well, that has set the stage or is kind of getting the energies and the circumstances ready for that ability to connect with one another on that deeper and more fulfilling level. Rather than just kind of like a satisfactory or temporary connection, it feels like this may be sort of a situation where you've each been primed or prepared to have like 10 of Pentacles with one another, that true happily ever after, mind, body, and soul connection. But you've needed to create that within yourselves first and foremost in order to be able to give that very reciprocally to another person and be able to receive that in a full and complete way from another person as well. So let's get some messages from this person's higher self and see what they want you to know right now. And they say, I wish I could hold you in my arms and tell you how much you mean to me. So it feels like you've been on this person's mind as well. They've always wondered, what could have happened if situations were different, if I'd met this person sooner, if somebody else hadn't been in the equation or circumstances hadn't sort of interfered in our situation, what would have developed between the two of us? And so it feels like somebody who's actively maybe unconsciously or perhaps consciously manifesting that ability to reconnect with you again, sort of hoping that they will run into you, that your face will kind of pop out of a sea of people, or within a crowded room, suddenly there you will be. So it's like somebody who sort of looks around for you, expecting to run into you in kind of the most inopportune of moments or unexpected of ways. And so it may be something where in the place you would be least likely to encounter this person, there they are, and that sort of sparks the reconnection, or something again where it's almost like an algorithm recommends you or them to you, and sort of like a series of events behind the scenes kind of bring the two of you back into this orbit with one another, where there's the opportunity to express some truths that were hidden, that people needed to mature into the versions of themselves in order to be able to both express those fully and to hold kind of the full reality and the implications of that in a high vibrational and holistic sort of way. They also say, you are my wish fulfillment and I want only you. So somebody who it feels like has thought about you over time is again kind of in this essence of, I wonder what could have happened if it had been the two of us. I wonder what would have happened if I had fought for this connection instead of letting fear take over, or again, like other circumstances hadn't interfered or been an obstacle in the situation, and there had just been kind of a clear road forward for the two of us. Somebody, it feels like that when they see you again, when they come into this awareness of you, it feels like it helps to dissolve a lot of heaviness that they may have been holding, regret at not speaking their truth in the past, or even kind of hurtful words that were spoken maybe very impulsively out of a place of fear, or just other circumstances happening between the two of you, that they may have held on to that wounding, you may have held on to that wounding, a lot of heaviness in this bond between the two of you, even energetically from a distance. It feels that a lot of that dissolves. There's like a softening that happens very immediately upon this sort of like recognition of each other once again, that really sets the stage to be able to have clear and concise communication, honest communication, from a place of generosity and also compassion, mercy, a willingness to forgive, to really sort of take in the full essence of the other person's perspective, and to give one's own perspective very reciprocally in kind. So a lot of healing, it feels like, that has the ability to take place in this situation, that for a lot of you, this will be the healing that is necessary to kind of close out the previous chapters and to really get something romantically started in the way that it always was intended to be, sort of like a preview or a glance that you'd gotten of one another earlier on in your lives. But the true romantic story, the love story, was meant to take place at sort of a later juncture or further along in your journey. Sort of the idea of the lost love is sweeter when you find it. It's better kind of after certain circumstances have sort of acclimated one to the taste of what love is not. And in order to then kind of cultivate that sense of true and deep love for self within self, to be able to express and to exchange that with another person in a very healthy and high vibrational manner, that needed to occur for the two of you individually, in order to be able to really give and experience the fullness of what this connection can develop into, can yield, can produce, what that can create for the two of you as far as good feelings, healthy feelings, happy feelings. And they also say, I think of you whenever I feel lost in my life. So that's, again, the idea of like lost love that will likely find you. This person, again, is kind of like actively sort of waiting, seeking you out. There's maybe a sense within them of like, this isn't over between the two of us. There's something more to this story. There's something more to this experience. They may have felt your energy as kind of like a guide or a companion at times where they were going through deep experiences of catharsis or a need to kind of heal and release things, difficulties that they may have faced. You may have also felt this person's energy kind of in your darkest hour. The two of you almost sort of holding hands with one another through time and space, through whatever has occurred, sort of in your period of distance with one another, different roads kind of inevitably leading to this place of reconnection with one another, but in the way that the connection was always intended to be experienced as. And we also have, no one will ever compare to you. So it feels like this person, again, has been like longing for you for quite some time, missing you, very curious about like whatever happened to you, what's going on in your life. All of these questions may be in the process of kind of manifesting that opportunity to find out the answers. Or perhaps this is someone that has already stumbled across your social media and is kind of like watching from afar, planning that point of like reaching out, expressing their truth, opening the lines of communication to be able to sort of catch up on what has happened, have some necessary discussions with one another, and to see if maybe this is the time where that love story can actually flourish, where those feelings can be explored, where better results than kind of the sense of two people longing for one another at a distance, and any sort of heaviness that had been intrusive in the connection, that can be obliterated and replaced with more harmony, more balance, more of like high and loving vibrations between the two of you. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. You've got D, E, R, M, I, V, A, O, L, R, F, V, W, L, P, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.